Okay, so what did you spot that made this a good pattern to repeat? Obviously, with any repeating pattern, we are going to get some sort of degree of boredom, and we want something that is not going to make it boring. So, ground basses were used in the Baroque period. Okay. The Baroque period is around 1600 to 1750. And the ground bass was often played by a harpsichord and another instrument such as a cello. Okay? Well, so repeating bass line. Well, the first thing is that it is a slow tempo. Because if it was fast and repeating, it wouldn't be that effective. It would just be messy. So we've got a slow tempo, but what we do have is constant note values. And because we can see it written down, we actually know what those note values are. They are quavers. So throughout this whole bass line, we have this sort of feeling of a walking bass line. It just keeps walking along. So that makes it effective for helping drive the music. Constant note values were typical of the Baroque period. So that's one thing, we've got constant note values in a slow period. The next thing is the shape of each pattern is an arch shape. So it goes up in the middle and then comes down. So each pattern is arch shaped. So that gives it a nice internal structure. And if we have a look at that arch shape, we can see it starts with a leap of a fifth and finishes with a leap of a sixth. And that pattern continues. A leap of a fifth, leap down of a sixth. And that is another thing that makes it strong. Strong upward leaps of a fifth are very strong in music. The next thing that makes it interesting is that we have sharps that are not in our key. So our key is here, and we have no sharps or flats here. But during the piece, we have chromatic notes. They are notes. Chromatic means notes that are not in the scale. So we have chromatic notes that aren't in our key here. Now actually our key is A minor. And we have some notes here that don't normally occur in A minor, such as C sharp. So the chromatic notes make it interesting. And that gives harmonic interest because it causes clashes against the melody. The next thing we can see is that not only does it repeat, but we can see that it is based on one 4-note cell or pattern. And so the whole thing repeats, but the individual pattern repeats and repeats, but it repeats slightly differently each time. It repeats getting a bit higher. So it's the same pattern, but we have a higher starting note each time. So that is called a sequence. When we have the same shape pattern, but moved up a note, or it could be moved down a note. So there is our pattern, and we're taking the whole pattern and we're moving it up, and then we're moving it up again, and moving it up again. So we've got lots going on to make this interesting. Constant note values gives it a driving feel. The arch shape means that we have this powerful leap of a fifth. The chromatic notes mean that we're going to have some harmonic tension against the piece, against the melody. And there's one last thing. It's going to get confusing to see now, but this is bar 1, this is bar 2, that's the bar line, and this is bar 3. There is no bar 4. So another thing that makes this really interesting is an unusual phrase length. So we have a 3-bar phrase. Well, the melody above it might be going in 4-bar phrases or 8-bar phrases. So a 3-bar phrase is going to get out of sync with the melody. That's going to create some harmonic interest. And the very last thing that makes it really powerful is this octave leap here. And that's the way we write octave. Octave And that gives us a special cadence. There is chord 2, there is chord 5, and our next chord would be A minor, which would be chord 1. And that would be all the way back here. So that little cadence, a cadence is a collection of chords at the end of a phrase. That little cadence would be 2, then 5, but it's more than 5. Okay, it is special because that 5 cadence there, we've got an E, which is the 5th note of A minor. That 5 is delayed to there. So we can actually have a chord 1 in there. We call it 1C because it's got an E in the bass. We'll explain that from stacking chords in another video. But we've got a special 1C 5-1 cadence at the end. So we have 2, chord 2, then chord 1 in second inversion, then chord 5, and then back to chord 1. So it's an incredibly powerful, perfect cadence. So we have the constant note values, the leaps of the 5th, the sequence which it rises, the sense of a walking bass line because of the constant note values, all the chromatic notes adding little bits of extra interest, the 3-bar phrase working against the main melody, and then we end up with a lovely, powerful, perfect cadence at the end. So Purcell has worked hard to make sure that his bass line, if it's going to repeat all the way through, has at least a lot of really important features about it.